All right, today we're jumping right into the mind of a true literary giant, an absolute pioneer of modernism, and a voice that completely reshaped the novel itself, Virginia Woolf. We're going to explore her life and the revolutionary techniques she used to map the very landscape of human consciousness. So let's start where her revolution really begins, with a feeling.
To really get Woolf, you have to start with the feeling of reading her. This opening line from her masterpiece, Mrs. Dalloway, it's not just a sentence, it's practically an instruction. It's that feeling of diving headfirst into the rushing water of a character's thoughts. It's immediate, it's a little bit breathtaking, and it's exactly where her revolution kicks off.
And that plunge, well, it leads us to the one massive central question that Virginia Woolf obsessed over her entire career. Forget about simple plots where A leads to B. Woolf was asking something much deeper. How can I show the chaotic, beautiful, totally non-linear way we actually experience life? The memories, the sudden ideas, the anxieties, all of it happening at once. That question is what drove every single thing she wrote.
To see how she answered that question, we've got to understand the woman herself. Her incredible art didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was forged in a life of unbelievable intellectual highs and just devastating personal lows.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the intense duality of her early life. On one hand, she's born right into the heart of London's literary world. Her dad is a famous author, and their house is basically a think tank for the greatest minds of the day. But on the other hand, she faces these staggering losses as a teenager. That combination of intellectual excitement and profound grief became the bedrock of her work, which is why she's always exploring the inner lives of people wrestling with their own memories and feelings.
And this is absolutely crucial. While her brothers were sent off to get a fancy Cambridge education, Woolf, because she was a woman, was denied that. But did that stop her? No way! She turned her father's library into her own personal university. She didn't just read, she devoured everything. Greek classics, philosophy, radical feminist essays. This fierce, self-driven education gave her an intellectual toolkit that was way broader and more original than any formal degree ever could have.
But of course, even the most brilliant mind needs a community, right? You need people to bounce ideas off of, to challenge you. And that brings us to the circle of friends who gave Woolf the courage to really rebel against the old way of doing things.
Okay, so the Bloomsbury Group, this was not just some book club. Think of them as an intellectual and creative engine for modernism. They were artists, writers, and thinkers who looked at the stiff, stuffy Victorian world they inherited and said, yeah, no thanks. They believed in a new kind of freedom, in both art and life.
And when you look at what they stood for, you can see why this was the perfect incubator for Woolf's ideas. In this group, experimenting wasn't just tolerated, it was expected. Questioning gender roles wasn't some shocking idea, it was just a Tuesday night conversation. This group gave her the support system she needed to break away from traditional novels and explore the very things society told women they shouldn't talk about.
This really shows you how intertwined her life and art were. Her partnership with her sister, the painter Vanessa Bell, was absolutely essential. The critic Lytton Strachey was a key mentor who championed her early on. And her passionate, intense affair with Vita Sackville-West, that directly inspired Orlando, one of her most playful and boundary-pushing books. Her relationships weren't just background noise, they were fuel for her creative fire.
Okay, so we have the woman, and we have her world. Now, let's get to the main event, how Virginia Woolf took the novel, a form that had been around for ages, and just completely rewrote the rules.
This was her signature move, stream of consciousness. And the goal was pretty simple, really, to get closer to psychological truth. Instead of an author on the outside telling you what a character is doing, Woolf drops you right inside their mind, so you experience the world just like they do, with all the messy, beautiful, and fluid connections between the past, the present, and the future.
And you can literally watch her perfect this technique from one book to the next. In Mrs. Dalloway, she maps out an entire life through one woman's thoughts on a single day. Into The Lighthouse, she pushes it further, playing with how different people experience time. By Orlando, she's just having fun, completely blowing up our ideas of gender and identity. And with The Waves, it's basically a symphony of 6 different inner voices. Each book was a bigger, bolder experiment.
But Woolf wasn't just a novelist, she was a foundational feminist thinker. And this famous quote, "It's about so much more than just having a quiet place to work." What she's really arguing for here is economic and intellectual freedom.
She's pointing out that for centuries, women were denied the financial independence, the money, and the room of their own that's necessary to create great art. It was a radical demand for equality.
And her thinking only got more radical from there. In Three Guineas, she draws a direct line connecting the patriarchal system that holds women down to the very same mindset that fuels nationalism, fascism, and war. For her, feminism wasn't a separate issue, it was deeply connected to her anti-war activism. I mean, making that connection on the brink of World War II, it was just stunningly ahead of its time.
So what does this all add up to? Why are we still so obsessed with Virginia Woolf today? Let's take a quick look at her enduring legacy.
This contrast is just incredible because it shows how long it can take for the world to catch up to a genius. In her own lifetime, the reaction was, well, mixed. Some people knew she was brilliant, but a lot of critics just found her work too weird, too difficult. But now? Oh, she's an undisputed titan, a pillar of literature whose innovations literally paved the way for generations of writers to come.
Her influence is everywhere. You can see it in countless authors who explore the inner lives of their characters. Her fearless deep dives into gender and identity feel more relevant today than ever. And her own honest writing about her lifelong struggles with mental illness helped open up crucial conversations about the link between creativity and mental health. She didn't just write new stories. She changed what a story could even be.
And all of this leaves us with one final thought, a question I think Woolf herself would have loved. Her great project was to show us the immense, complex universe that exists inside a single person's mind. So it really makes you wonder, right? If she could find that much depth in just one consciousness, how many other voices, other perspectives, and other entire worlds are still out there, just waiting to be heard?